With this build will be easy to level up with the Ranger class. With this 3 elemental build will be easy to clear all maps in every difficulty and the bosses will not resist all your damage. Don't forget to subscribe. Hello guys and welcome to one more video. We are talking about the Ranger class and the leveling build guide. Alright, so I created this build. It's a 3 elemental build, so basically you'll be doing fire damage, ice damage and lightning damage. So this is pretty good. You will be able to get tons of damage because you are doing 3 types of damage, and besides this it's also really good against bosses because some bosses, you guys can see, they will have an icon on the left side of their health bar, and that means they will be resistant to some type of damage. So since we are doing 3 types of damage, at least one of those damage the boss will not resist to that damage, and this way will be easier to fight every boss in this game until you finish Cruel 3 and reach the end game. Of course you can still use this build in the end game, it really works well, and you can use this build as a Pathfinder or as a Deadeye. It works with both ascendancies, so it's really good to use this build. So I'm gonna start talking about everything you need to know since level 1 to end game. So I'll go through everything. I'll start talking about the skill gems, passive tree, and then all the equipment and stats that you may need for all the equipment you're gonna use from level 1 to end game. So let's start with the skill gems, and I want to talk about the first skills you need to use. You just need 4 skills and 3 buffs when you reach end game. That's all you're gonna need to play with this build, so it's pretty easy. So I'm just gonna use one of these skill gems to explain to you. When you start with your Ranger class, you will be able to choose one skill, and that skill will be Lightning Arrow. As you guys can see, you can use this skill since level 1 will be the first skill that you are able to get, and this is the skill that will stick to end game, will be Lightning Arrow. The second one you want to get will be Lightning Rod. So Lightning Arrow will be the skill that you use most of the time, and then when you're fighting a rare monster or a boss, you can use Lightning Rod to increase a little bit of damage. After that, you can get Freezing Salvo and Barrage, alright? With Freezing Salvo and Barrage, just to increase a little bit of your damage. Freezing Salvo will do some cold damage and increase the freeze build-up, and the Barrage will empower the your next bow attack. So basically you want to use Barrage and then Lightning Arrow. We only need to use this against bosses and rare monsters, and that's basically it. That's all you need from the skill gems. Regarding spirit gems, will be easy as well. So when you get the first gem, the spirit gem, you want to get Herald of Thunder. It will be the first one that you want to get, and this one will increase a lot your area of damage. After getting this one, make sure to keep leveling it up, but the second one you want to get will be the Herald of Ice. So Herald of Thunder first, then you get Herald of Ice, and make sure to keep them around the same level, alright? When you can spare for an extra skill, because the worst case scenario will be to get your second buff when defeating the Bog Witch at Act 3 and get Herald of Ice. After that, if you get another spirit gem and you have some spirit, so you'll need some spirit on your chest or on your amulet. After Herald of Thunder and Herald of Ice, the next one you want to get will be Combat Frenzy, alright? So Combat Frenzy will help to increase your damage. And basically you gain Frenzy charges with Freeze, Electrocute or Pin. There's a few ways you can get these charges. When you freeze enemies, that will happen a lot with this build, and also pin the enemies, and to pin them you can use some boots that I will show you when I'm talking about the equipment. After this buff, it will be 30, 60, 90 for that buff, the Combat Frenzy, and lastly, the last buff you want to get will be Wind Dancer. This is more a survivability skill, not to do any damage, but to increase your invasion rating and will knock back the enemies when they manage to hit you, alright? So to get enough spirit, you need to have a chest with spirit or amulet with spirit, and you need at least 120 to get all of these buffs. But focus at the beginning, at the early stage while you're leveling up, to get Herald of Thunder and Herald of Ice, then get Combat Frenzy, you can use Combat Frenzy with Barrage, which is this skill, and this will increase your damage because the more Frenzy charges you have, more both skills you will throw while using this Barrage skill. Alright, so now that you know which skills you need, let's talk about a little bit more in depth about those skills and the support gems that you may need. Alright, so firstly, as I said, Lightning Arrow will be your main skill. You're gonna use this most of your time. While clearing maps, you just need to use Lightning Arrow 1, 2, 3 times. You're gonna clear everything on your way pretty easy. So for this one, I have it with the order of priority. So to get 4 slots, you need to use 1 of lesser jewel orbs, and then you need to use 1 greater to get the 4 slots. Alright? At early stages, if you are doing Act 1 to 3, 2 skills or 3 skills will be more than enough. If you can upgrade to 4 slots when you reach cruel difficulty, that will make all your way much easier. Alright, so let's start with Lightning Arrow. We have Primal Armament to increase our weapon elemental damage. As you guys will see on our passive tree, we have a lot of elemental damage because we will do a lot of all the elements will be fire, ice and lightning. We have 30% more maximum physical damage because basically in this game all the physical damage is converted to all the other elemental damages. So if you have more physical damage, it will increase your elemental damage as well. And we have Rising Tempest that will deal 12% more elemental damage for each skill used recently. So we will use Lightning Arrow, Lightning Rod, they are both lightning, but then we use Freezing Salvo, which is a cold skill, and that's basically it. With this we can get 24% more elemental damage. Then you will get Lightning Arrow pretty soon in this game. This one will throw several arrows on the floor, and when you use a lightning skill, which will be Lightning Arrow, it will activate the lightning rods, these arrows on the floor, and will do more damage. So on this one we'll have concentrated effect, will increase the area damage from lightning rods. We have acceleration, this will give more projectile speed, and basically will make this animation from this skill to be faster, and this way we can start doing damage much sooner. We have Scatter Shot, so it will throw several projectiles, and with this Scatter Shock will throw 2 additional projectiles. If you have more projectiles on the floor, you don't need to cast this skill so much often, because we'll have more projectiles on the floor to be activated. And finally we have Lightning Penetration that will penetrate 30% lightning resistance. After this, you want to get, probably you will be getting Herald of Thunder, alright? But I want to talk about active skills and then I'll talk about the buff skills. So the one you want to get will be Freezing Salvo, alright? Freezing Salvo is just to increase a little bit of your damage. As you guys can see, you don't need 4 slots here, just to help with your freeze build up and increase a little bit of your damage. So this skill will launch 12 additional missiles that will do some damage. We have Cold Penetration to penetrate some cold resistance. We have Cold Exposure for 8 seconds when critical hit with cold damage, and we have deal 40% more damage, but we will have 10 seconds to cooldown. But this is completely fine, you guys will see, because every time we use Freezing Salvo, we need to wait for those 12 missiles to reload, basically. And normally, those 10 seconds, it's usually how much it takes to get the 12 missiles once again and launch them. So that's completely worth it to use Hourglass on this skill. Lastly, the last active skill you will be getting will be Barrage, alright? So basically this skill will empower your next bow attack to repeat 2 times plus an additional time per frenzy charge consumed. So if you have 4 or 5 charges, it means when you use Lightning Rod will be like using 5 or 6 times in just 1 click, and that will be a lot of damage. And as you guys can see, of 1335% of repeated skills attack time is added to this skill cooldown to a maximum of 30 seconds, and if you have some additional effect, it will increase more damage. So regarding the quality, if you can afford some quality on your gems, this one is really worth it. It'll increase your damage, and on lightning arrow will fire a beam that hits an additional enemy near the target, and basically when you throw this projectile it will create a beam that will chain to other targets, so instead of chaining 2 times we'll chain an additional enemy. And lightning rod, we have just a bigger radius, so this one you don't really need it, but if you can afford for it will be more useful to use on lightning rod. And active skills, it's basically this. Then talking about buffs, the first one you want will be Herald of Thunder, alright? So every time you shock an enemy, will activate Herald of Thunder and will launch a bolt that will do physical damage converted to lightning damage, alright? The quality on this one will increase the next attack hits after killing a shocked enemy, so it's really worth it to invest some quality on this Spirit Gem. On this one, we're gonna use a trick. So at the beginning, when you're just starting leveling up, use this one here. Use Lightning Effusion because this will increase your damage. But as soon as you get Herald of Ice, it's time to start with this strategy. So you're gonna use Cold Infusion. So this will give you 25% more of damage, extra cold damage. We're gonna use more freeze build-up, 100% more critical hit chance against enemies that are on full life, and long shots that will increase damage to enemies that are further than 7 meters from you. So basically, with this skill, every time when you wave enough damage, what will happen is every time you shock an enemy, will activate Herald of Thunder, and some of this damage will convert it to extra cold damage. We have this to increase the freeze build-up, and then some of the enemies, when those thunders are spread away, will be a 100% critical hit, so it will be a lot of damage, and probably they will die with just one of those bolts from the Herald of Thunder, alright? And sometimes those enemies, if they are far away, more than 7 meters from you, it will deal 35% more attack damage. So when this effect is triggered, it means your skill, Herald of Thunder, will freeze those enemies and will shatter them. So when they are shattered, we'll activate Herald of Ice. As you guys can read here, while active, shattering an enemy with attack will cause an icy explosion. So with these support gems, we have Lightning Effusion to get more 25% more damage as extra lightning damage. So it means that explosion will have 25% lightning damage. We have more air effect, so a bigger explosion, and we have 100% more chance to shock. So it means when we cause these explosions, we'll have a 1% chance to shock the closest enemies, and if they are shocked and they die, we'll activate Herald of Thunder again and will be a snowball effect. So the last one we have is Innervate, because with this skill, Herald of Ice, we will kill some shocked enemies, and with this will give us more lightning damage. If we have more lightning damage, the chance to freeze the enemy with this skill will be bigger. The damage that we're gonna do with Herald of Ice will be bigger because we have Lightning Effusion, so the explosions will cause more damage, we'll have more chance to shock and keep activating the snowball effect. So basically, Herald of Thunder activates Herald of Ice, Herald of Ice activates Herald of Thunder, and that's it. Next, you want to get the Combat Frenzy, alright? On Combat Frenzy it's pretty easy. Every time we freeze enemy, electrocute or pin, we have Frenzy charges. And then we have Perfusion that will give us a 50% chance to grant an additional charge. So this Combat Frenzy is just to boost our barrage skill, alright? So we get more charges, and this way we can do more damage with this barrage skill. And finally, when you can afford for it, we want to get Wind Dancer, alright? On Wind Dancer, this buff will give us a percentage of evasion rating per stage. So the more stages you have, you can add some quality and get more and more extra stages, and this means it will give you more overall evasion rating, and this way will be easier to dodge enemies. If your dodge rating is not that great and you are taking some hits from the enemies, it means that every time they hit you with a melee attack, we'll activate this buff and knock them back and do some damage as well. Since it does some damage, we are using close combat to increase that damage, and maim just to slow them down. If they manage to hit you, it means they will be knocked back and also will be slowed. And regarding skill gems, this is all you need to know. Now let's talk about the passive tree. So this is my passive tree at the moment that I finished Act 3 Cruel, and I'm now gonna start with the end game. As you guys can see, I'm going for the Pathfinder Ascendancy, but I'm doing this build just to level up. Eventually, maybe I try something with Fulminating Concoction, but we'll see. At the moment, this is a build you can use for both Ascendancies, the Pathfinder or Deadeye. So I'm gonna use this tool on the Mobalytics website just to explain how you should do this build, because there are some changes on the way until you get all the nodes that I have at the moment. So you want to start with these ones that will increase your projectile damage and get to this way. Then you want to go this way, alright, get some more projectile damage, pierce the enemy, and get some attributes, alright? All of these attributes you will get on the way. Focus on dexterity, but you'll notice that you'll need some intelligence for the Earl of Ice Spirit Gem, and you'll need some strength for some support gems. So play with your attributes regarding what you need at the moment. So after getting this one, you really want to get these points here for the quiver. These points are very worth it, because they will increase the stats given by your quiver and will increase your damage overall. So if you get a good quiver, it means you will do tons of damage. After getting these nodes, you want to keep going on this way and get these ones here, alright? These ones, and since we are here, we can get our first jewel, alright? So this should look like this around your first levels, and you'll be doing a lot of damage. Since we have catalysis, that will do 20% increased elemental damage with attacks and 5% of physical damage from it as a random element, it means by this time if you can use some items to increase this damage, but even without those unique items, you will get the effect, the damage from those three elements. So at this point you can get this node here on back here, because it will increase 30%, 33% increased damage with it against enemies affected by elemental elements. So if you are doing lightning damage, you have a chance to shock. If you are doing size damage, you can shield the enemies. And if you are doing fire damage, you can ignite the enemies. So all of those are elements that you can inflict, and these will increase 33% increased damage against enemies affected by those elemental elements. So you want to get these ones, and that's basically it. After this, we want to increase our chance to shock, because by this time you should have Herald of Thunder. So if you shock your enemies, you'll activate the Herald of Thunder and will be more damage overall. So if you want to get these ones, they will increase the chance to shock and also increase elemental damage. So we want to get this one here that will increase 50% increased damage for each type of elemental elements on enemy. So after this, we can get all of these around here. So we can get these three. So will be these three that will increase your chance to ignite. We don't want this one. These three and these three that will increase your freeze build-up and also elemental damage. After getting these ones, we can go up here and increase 40% chance to shock and also increase the cast and speed of lightning skills. After this, the points that we want are far away. We want these three here that will increase a lot our damage. So until we have enough points to reach here, we want to get something that can help us at the moment. So the next points you want to get will be these ones that will increase your attack damage. So you get these three here, and then you can get these three here. So it means we are investing 4 here and more 3 here. Okay, so you have 3, 6, 7 nodes that you can invest to that way. Alright, so we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we need 13 points, 13 passive points to reach these three that will increase a lot your damage. So you can start making your way here and invest 6 points. Alright, so you can reach here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you can go until this way. When you reach here, you can remove these points here. Alright, you can remove this attack damage, so this will be 3 points recovered and more 4 points recovered. So you will have 7 points now that you can use here, and you're gonna get all of these amazing nodes that will increase a lot your damage. So this one will give you 30% more increased elemental damage if you shield the enemy. This one that will increase 30% more damage if you shock the enemy, and this one 30% more damage if you ignited the enemy recently. So after getting these ones, you should be around level 40 something. And the next points we want will be these ones, because by this time you should have Herald of Ice as well. So if we get this node, that will increase 50% our lightning damage, and 50% our cold damage will be very, very useful. So again, we want to get some utility while you're waiting to get those nodes, alright? So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to reach that node. So while we can't access there, means that we can invest something that will be useful now that you are leveling up. So you can invest 1 point here, 2, 3, 4 here, and you are already getting some elemental damage, and then 5, 6, 7 here, alright? And then you can go back here and invest again on this damage, because you want something that helps you to level up right now, and you don't want to invest on attributes that are not so useful at this point. So we invested 9 points on these skills, and you have 10 points now. So by this moment, we can remove these points once again, because there's something much better you can invest now. So we remove these points and remove these points, and now we can afford to go here and get these heralds that will increase a lot your damage. Now that we got these points, it's time to go to another place in the passive tree. So now we want to go this way and get some attack cast and cast speed with lightning skills, and also increase our lightning damage. So once again, it's up to you. If you're already doing a good amount of damage, you can just keep your way through here. If not, you can still do the same strategy. You can invest 4 points here on these elementals. You need to invest 1 here anyway to go to this way. But after this, you can invest 3 points on these elements and then attack damage here and go back there until you are able to afford for this last one. Alright, so you want to go this way. After going this way, you can stop doing that strategy with attack damage, because here you just need to spend a few points. You should be strong enough by this time, and you can now just go all the way and get all the stuff that you need here. So the next one you want to get will be these ones here that will increase your fire and cold damage. Alright, so we have more fire and cold damage, and this one will give you 25% of cold damage as extra fire damage against frozen enemies, and also freeze build-up. By this time you'll notice that it will be really easy for you to freeze and shatter those enemies, because of all of these nodes we are getting at this point. The last one until you reach the end game will be this one. So you want to get this one here and get this one. This one will increase the exposure for the 3 elements, so it means they will be weaker against all those 3 elements that you are doing damage. And the last one, before you reach the end game, will be this one, Stormbreaker, that will increase 50% increased damage for each type of elemental element on enemy. So by this time, you should be one-shotting all the enemies on your way. You can still keep doing this build while you're leveling up, so it will be pretty easy, especially when you're fighting a boss. You'll be inflicting a lot of elements, and this will increase your damage a lot. So this is my actual build at the moment, as you guys can see. I was just using that tool to explain you better what you need to do, and as you guys can see, this is the same build. I got some extra points here just to increase the shock chance. If you have a more shock chance, it means you will activate the Herald of Thunder much more often, and you guys can see from all the gameplay that I almost one-shot everything on my way, and I still do a pretty good amount of damage against bosses, thanks to these 3 elements together that will increase my damage. So this is all you need to know about the passive tree. Of course, you can check my bubble analytics guide with all the information. If there's something I missed here, just comment below and I'll try to update it as soon as possible, and I'm trying to explain as much as I can. The last thing we want to talk about is your equipment. So if you are playing the standard, there's a few tricks you can use. If you are playing solo self-found mode, this build is still viable because of all these passive tree nodes. But if you are playing standard mode, it means you can use the market and get some unique items that at the moment are pretty cheap. And most of these items you can start using them at level 1. So you can start level 1 already strong and just go and speed up your leveling with these items. So these gloves are pretty good. You can start using these gloves, and these gloves are especially good for this build because they will convert your damage to cold damage, fire damage and lightning damage, and that's exactly what you want. I've been using these gloves since level 1 and they are really great. Another thing you can use since level 1 will be this crude bow. Basically this one will increase the bonuses from your equipped quiver. So as soon as you get a stronger quiver, you can use it. As you guys can see, I'm using a quiver that is stronger than the uniques I was using before, but if you want to know, the other quivers I was using was these two. So this one you can start using at level 1, it will increase your cold damage, and then if you want you can switch to this one that will increase your chance to ignite, and if the enemies are ignited, it means it will increase your damage. So these are the two uniques you can use. Then about the belt, until you get a good belt that you can use this one that will increase elemental resistances for all the elements and also recoup some mana from 50% of the damage taken. Then regarding the helmet, until you get a good helmet, you can use this one. This one you can equip at level 11 and it will give you a little bit of everything that will be very useful to your leveling. Alright, then regarding the jacket or the body armor, we are using this jacket since level 11 and you guys can see I'm now level 65 and I'm still using it because it's pretty good, gives you fire resistance, dexterity and a lot of invasion rating, but as soon as you are able to afford or get a better one, make sure to do that switch. Then we have the boots, alright, so the first boots you can get will be these ones, alright, the uniques. So these ones you can equip at level 16, will increase your movement speed, and the good thing about this is they will increase your lightning damage with attacks and will drop a shocked ground. So that shocked ground, every enemy that steps that floor, that shocked ground, the chance to shock those enemies will be much higher and will increase your damage and the amount of times Herald of Thunder is activated. When you reach 33, you can switch to Bushwhack, a lizard scale boots. These ones will have more movement speed. Movement speed is really good, will increase your evasion rating and also will make your physical damage to be pinning. So by this time, if you have the other buff I was talking about, this one, Combat Frenzy, with these boots will increase a lot the amount of charges you can get because they will give you ability to pin enemies with just attacks. And lastly, I think I already talked about these items and the uniques you can use. The belt we already talked about. Rings, try to find some rings or use some rings that give you some more elemental damage from some damage from those elements. So lightning damage, cold damage or fire damage. If you are using physical damage, it's good as well because the physical damage will be converted to those three elemental elements, especially if you are using these gloves. And finally, we have the amulet. So if you can try to find a body armor or an amulet with a little bit of spirit, you don't need much. As you guys can see, I have 16 not been used, so you need 120 to use this build. So if you get an amulet or a body armor with 20 spirit, will be more than enough. Then, as soon as you get a quiver that is stronger than these two uniques, you can switch to it. If you are using crude bow, it will increase a lot your damage. You don't need crude bow. You can use any dual string bow. Those ones are pretty good. And if you find a good one, you can use that. As I said, you don't really need these unique items. They will just make your life easier because if you have unique items, they will help your journey to level up. And with this, at least on early stages of your leveling, you don't need to really worry about the items that are dropped. You can just keep clearing everything and get the drops and sell them, get more gold or more materials, and will be much better for your leveling. If not, all of those items they are dropped, you can use them if they are better, than the ones you have, and you can still use this build because the passive tree will increase all your elemental damage for all the attacks, so these gloves will just increase that effect, but if you are not using these gloves, will still work with this build. So I think I talked about everything. The way this works is pretty easy. So when you're clearing maps, you just need to use Lightning Arrow most of the time. If you find a rare monster that is more tankier and you need more damage, you can just use Barrage, activate Barrage and use Barrage and Freezing Salvo. That's basically it. When you're fighting a boss, just use Lightning Rod once or twice and then use Barrage, Lightning Arrow and Freezing Salvo, and that's basically it. This build is pretty easy to use, and I found out that while leveling up, I was just running around, clear everything, pretty easy, pretty quick, and the leveling experience was really good and really fast. So if you guys want, I'll leave the link below with my Bubblytics guide where you guys can check. I will write everything there, so if there's something I missed in this video, you guys can find there. I really appreciate any comments or any feedback regarding this build. Hope this helps everyone to level up your ranger class. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and the only thing I ask is if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe my channel to more content about Path of Exile 2. Helps me a lot to keep growing this channel. Thank you once again for watching this video, and see you next time.